is Talking to My Thoughts.
I had that understanding of knowing that my wife and my child are going into a very difficult situation to give birth, and I'm the only person who can go in the same and come out the same. So there was a lot of pressure of trying to save two lives that you loved, you know.
Mate.
So for me, I do really think that I did feel alienated. And the second time I was kind of like, I never want to listen to this midwife, because I had such a good first midwife, if that makes sense. I was like, I don't need to listen to her, even though she was lovely. But I got my old midwife on WhatsApp, Jenny. I still WhatsApp her. Like,
Jenny.
what's going on? Yeah, I'll type Jenny, because Jenny made me really know that this is about us together, you know. And okay, we're never going to feel those contractions the same way, but I remember the headbutts and the squeezing from my wife because I was holding her from behind. I still remember all those bits of pain and going through that together. And as a man, if you don't feel that you're part of it, it's very easy, I think, through the hospital, through NHS, to step away. I'm really annoyed that at no point did they ask me my blood type, and I had to make them test my blood type, because I said if my son, or well, I didn't know it was my son, but if my child at the time when they're born, or my wife needs a blood transfusion, the only person you know that's in that room guaranteed is me. So you should know my blood type. And it turns out that me and my wife are the same blood type, and my son. He didn't need anything, but it's just little things like that. And if you're not a hands-on person, or you're not feeling empowered, that's a very dangerous situation to be in as a man. And I think we do go through a pregnancy. And I think the difference is for a woman, she's counting up to that day. As a man, we're counting down. Like, from the time we're told, we're like, this is a countdown, and we got to get ourselves ready, because when that day comes, everything needs to be done.
Men during pregnancy. I'm a man during pregnancy. Third time round. I'm blessed to say that I've got another one on the way, due in October. And even though it's third time round, you know, I've done this already, twice already. And we've had home births, and we've had birthing centres. I'm excited by it. I'm still excited by it all, but then at the same time, still absolutely breaking it. There's no way to kind of explain the kind of juxtaposition of being a man during pregnancy. You have that overwhelming feeling of, I've done something. I've marked my legacy. You know, I've succeeded. But that weird sense of protection, and wanting to look after your family and look after your tribe. And that's based on so many different things, you know. I'm a firm believer that you need to obviously remain strong for your partner. You know, they're going through that physical process. They don't have time, in my opinion, for your fears and anxieties to be stressing them out and you know, and releasing all of those negative toxins and hormones into the body during a 9-month pregnancy, and then however many hours of labor. But you know, you become that one-man support system. You become the coach, the psychiatrist, the bouncer. You have to know the plan. What's the plan? You know, are we having a home birth? Are we going to a hospital? What's my wife's opinion on drugs and medication? You know, if there's a scenario that something happens where she's not able to make decisions during labor, which happens, God forbid, you know, what would she want me to do? But does she want an epidural? You know, do I save her or do I save the baby? All of these different things, you realize that there's such a big responsibility as a father during the pregnancy and labor process that you've always got to keep in mind. And despite all of those fears, and despite all of the fact that you are just a third-party vessel throughout the whole thing, nothing changes the fact that it's such a beautiful process. I know that sounds corny, but that moment when you are blessed to be able to hear that first cry and be able to see that the baby is healthy and that everything is well, can't change that for the world, man. Can't change that for the world. It makes all of that holding of the breath moments just fully worth it. Yeah, but there's a lot, despite not physically having to do much, being a man in the pregnancy, there's a lot mentally that you need to make sure you're keeping on top of, and make sure that you're kind of at one with yourself with, to be able to make that process for you and your partner as comfortable and as smooth as possible. And yeah, that's the challenge, but it's a beautiful challenge. That's the challenge.
When my first child was born, my son, I never knew we were entitled to paternity. I never knew.
The little Dibby 2 weeks. The little Dibby 2 weeks.
Well, and that's
another discussion that,
exactly. But it's just having that support, or even if it's from the HR department or something like that, to say we have this in place available for you to support you, and obviously the new position that you're in, because it's a new job for life. And if your working life does suffer in some way, shape, or form, you got to kind of play the sympathy vote of, oh, I've just had a new baby. It's like, well, no, you've just had a new baby. You've just taken on a whole new responsibility. Let's support you. We can give you 2 weeks, or if you need holiday, we can try and support you in that sense. I never had any of that conversation at that time. So I think it extends further than the NHS. It may have just been my personal experience. Another company may have been absolutely brilliant, and that's commended. But I think, as I said, going by my own experience, there is definitely a bit of a shadow on that dad role, that new dad role, where obviously it's very, very clear, from the time the lady starts showing and gets pregnant, it's like, oh, how long are you going to be at work for? You shouldn't be lifting this and you shouldn't be doing that. And that is a 100% necessary, because some ladies do go right the way to the wire. My wife was dancing still, 8 months onwards. You know what I mean? So she was still going strong, belly and all, just throwing down shapes. And she was cool with that. And so that was absolutely fine. I was obviously a bit like, I don't know how I feel about this, because it's all new to me. Second child is like, yeah, go and do things. Cool. We're good. But as I said, to go back to the original point, the role of the dad, it can be kind of influenced, I think, by the experience.